Hello, friends. It's John Clan third of episode 164 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast. And today we are going to review Magic Volume 2, Issue 2, my book of the week last week. But first, we went to see Captain America Brave New World, and I really liked it. Like, I haven't read any reviews yet for what people wouldn't like about it, but there was a moment where I was like, well, would this have worked as like a three episode television series? And I'm like, no, it feels like a proper movie. Um, but let's do spoilers, but I really liked it. I like Cap, and then his new Falcon was pretty fun. I like Harrison Ford in it. I thought they addressed the mustache joke pretty on the nose, beneath the nose. Um, Esposito was pretty great, though. I was like, he's just the serpent guy. Like, all right. I liked how there was both trailers for Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, as my wife and son has decided to never watch those. I was like, there it is. Which they thought they looked okay, which I was like, all right. Um, my wife said it was a little long, but I think she says that about every Marvel movie, and I was like, yeah, like we only get so many of these, so they try to give you as much content as possible. And also reminded me of the Deadpool and Wolverine joke where in the third act, and Deadpool's like, audiences have gotten used to extended runs, but they don't like it. Um, Not to make a Deadpool and Wolverine reference in this current climate. Um, but yeah, I thought Captain America like, was great. We got some Elijah Bradley in there, which I love that actor, and no Patriots. So I'm like, are we supposed to forget they cast that guy for a little bit? But oh, and there's a surprise appearance by Bucky, which was pretty fun. They talk about why he didn't take the superhuman serum, and it's like, well, that would have been nice. Oh. The main villain is sort of like Civil War, where there's a super genius who's the villain, and then he's just pitting people to do, to fall into the pieces he wants them to be in. And that villain is the leader from Tim Nelson from like Holes or from the 2008 Hulk movie. Which remember, like one quick reveal I saw was like, what timeline are we following? And it's like, it's just 2008. They just recast two of the three main people in the movie. Five. It's a tight cast, but like Willem Hurt passed, so Harrison Ford's there. Edward Norton wanted too much creative control, if I remember correctly, and they replaced him with Mark Ruffalo. But yeah, like Betty still, the Tyler, who I thought was great in the role. And Tim Roth is still the Abomination, so that worked well. But yeah, like I don't think timeline's that confusing. Um, but yeah, pretty great movie. And um, and I like how, and I know the point is like he didn't need the superhumans serum to fight the a Hulk, but would it have been nicer? Probably. But there were some great action sequence, a lot of aerial shots that went pretty well. Um, yeah, so I think overall, like I really dug it. Is it better than Captain America: First Avenger? Maybe. Like I do like how that movie scratches the World War II movie I want in my head every so often. Like we don't like I just recently bought the Phantom on the Billy Zane one on Vudu because it was $5 finally. And I was like, yeah, I like me a pulp hero. And like Zorro. I'm waiting for the Shadow to go on sale, but that seems to never happen. Pop Up the Volume also seems to be erased from digital, which is also weird. Um, that's just chain of thought there. Um, Trying not to spoil too much, but yeah, like everything. I mean, spoiled not too much, but also hitting all the bullet points of what people will break this movie down to like eight scenes. Like, yeah. Um, But yeah, and the Vibarian claws, or not claws, the Vibarian wings, so he's able to absorb like impacts is like pretty cool. I like how they don't make a point of saying like, yeah, like he might be great with throwing the shield, but he does have Red Wing to bring the shield back to him every time. So it's like how much of it is skill, how much of it's just using the tools at hand. Um, like he's running for Senate, which we know he wins the seat, and then somehow is allowed to be on Thunderbolts. Um, the Red Hulk animation was pretty good. Like it felt like he held space. Um, yeah, like it's a pretty great movie. The post-credit scene. Oh. The leader, like they didn't do much with him besides like you saw like the 2008 film where like, his head starts bubbling, but they chickened out and did not give him a head like a foot long forehead, which was disappointing. Nor did he get a mustache. I'm like, come on, that would have been too hard to do. But so that was my only real complaint was like you could have gone double down on it. But yeah, it felt like a real movie. It felt like a movie. I don't know what would have been reshoots and whatnot, but I was satisfied with it. I probably watch it at least a couple of different times. Um, would I enjoy watching all four Captain America movies? Yeah, like I wouldn't dread this one coming. Unlike some other movies where it's like I'd rather skip the first 20 minutes, like this movie felt like, yeah, you will watch it from scene one to the last scene. Because like Batman Begins, it's like I sort of want this cut right to when he comes to Gotham. Or Spider-Man 1, the Toby one, like, like this skip to after he gets bit by the spider. Like there's some like origin movies where I'm like, I just want to never revisit those first 40 minutes. Like it's unnecessary. As opposed to the first Iron Man movie, where that one's pretty solid of watching from the beginning, or at least watching until you get the bomb goes off. Missile? Something. Um, but then the post-credit scene has the leader hinting about other worlds, and it's like, well, that's clearly the X-Men world, and then whatever other, worlds they want to talk about or bring up, such as the Fantastic Four world, whatever dumb world Robert Downey Jr. Doom is from, which I still don't think they need to taint Doom, right? Like they can just use evil like superior Iron Man and call it good. Like I don't think we had to water down Doom or complicate things. That's a losing battle because that's just clearly going. But this whole last week, um, so yeah, I'd probably give the movie an A. Like it was a solid, good movie. Like I don't know. Probably now watch those TikToks videos of people trying to like reference the movie, but I'm like, yeah, like Sam Wilson's great. Um, so this whole last week was like Magic was in three different comics, including her own ongoing issue. But as we talked about Captain America, I wanted to just knock out the Civil War II issue 5, which you can follow along with me showing you images as well. It's just the 5 panels from the issue on my TikTok or YouTube channel at Jacko SII. Let us get into the issue and knock it out. This comic came out in, oh, it was in the first 3 pages, so I was like, where is it? November 2016. Since this came out in 2016, we got a fun summary of what we've missed. A new Inhuman named Ulysses, who seems to be able to see the future, has divided the superhero community. Captain Marvel believes that if she has a chance to avert catastrophe and save lives, she has no choice but to act. But Iron Man believes that Ulysses' own biases and experiences are influencing his visions and claims that relying on them completely is no different than profiling. Iron Man shares his concern with Captain Marvel in a last-ditch attempt to keep things from escalating. but neither one of them would back down, and Iron Man decided he had to stop Captain Marvel by force. He rescued a woman whom Captain Marvel was holding without evidence, then confronted Carol on the roof of the Triskelion with an army of anti-prediction heroes, but Captain Marvel had her own backup, the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis, art David Marquez, art assist by Sean Izaxis, color artist Justin Ponser, letter VC's Clayton Cowles, designer Victor Okola, and let's see here, issue 5. Oh yeah, there's an ad here for Marvel Legends series with the build of figures Juggernaut, which came with a Kitty Pryde, which I love. We see the two heroes. Carol did get the Guardians, which includes Kitty Pryde in this like blue outfit she never wears except for this one thing, and she also has Extraordinary X-Men, so we get Magic and Kitty on the same side, which I love. Except Iron Man got Old Man Logan, so and the preteen or the teenage original five, as well as Cap Fowl and Miss Marvel is on her side, but this is pre-mutation reveal. He also has Steve Rogers' original flavor, Captain America, and Vision on that team, which will play off later. So Captain America has the Guardians of the Galaxy, which on the character profile they list Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, and Venom, and boy Star-Lord. Extraordinary X-Men with Storm, Iceman, and Magic, so that's fun. Inhumans has Beast listed, which is awkward. We're in New Atlantean, where Karnak says it's time for them to join the battle, but they're going to leave Ulysses behind. Meanwhile, we get back to Captain Marvel blasting Iron Man. Then he absorbs her power and blasts Kate Bishop, it looks like. Or She-Hulk. I don't think it's She-Hulk, because didn't she hurt Robbie earlier in this thing by going berserk? Like, I think this is Savage She-Hulk era. Doctor Strange is fighting the X-Men and tangles up Storm and Iceman using the Crimson Bands of the Torek, Book of the Ancient Scrolls, Chapter 53, which was a thing Bendis was doing about, I guess, citing Doctor Strange's resources. Luke Cage is fighting Blue Marvel. I still don't have much experience with. Maria Hill is trying to direct traffic with Jean Grey's knocked out. Sasquatch is fighting some dude. Kate Bishop's fighting people. Oh yeah, Kate Bishop's fighting Aurora. Then we cut to Matt Murdock listening to the battle. And then maybe this is Peter Parker. It's a brunette wearing a towel. And then Clint Barton is just in the wilderness as he believes he killed Bruce Banner Hulk. And then we get to my favorite sequence in this issue where it's Magic versus Sam Wilson, Captain America. He's like, Magic, right? I'm not into fighting you, lady. Okay. It's not a boy girl thing. I just, and then she immediately opens up a portal under his feet. He's like, oh, yeah. And then closes the portal. And he's like, oh, come on. As he's in Hollywood, which is fun as he now he has a movie. He's like, well, that's just great. And Magic's like, boy, girl thing. And you just hear like her Russian accent saying it like I'm not into fighting you, lady. It's not a boy girl thing. And she's like, boy girl thing. And then we see that she gets hit by an arrow, a purple one, so it must be still Kate Bishop. Rocket's enjoying shooting people until Miles stomps on him. And then Flash Thompson Venom attacks Miles, commenting that he's not the Spider-Man he knows and he seems to be a disgrace. And he's like, why does everyone keep telling me that? It's ridiculous. There's an ad here for Death of X. So we go from Civil War II to Death of X, and it's like, all right, big crossover year. Peter Quill's talking to Steve Rogers. And then Tony starts talking to Quill through his helmet. He's like, how are you hacking into it? Meanwhile, we see Oh yeah, that must be. It's Gamora is who that green lady was. Then we see Kitty is dive bombing Vision, going right through his chest, which causes him to fritz out, which is fun. And then we see Groot is fighting Old Man Logan, but we see Kitty is still phasing through Vision. And so she did that twice at least, and he is losing control. He shoots his forehead beam at her, but it goes through her because Kitty Pryde's no fool. Unfortunately, his eye blast or forehead blast thing hits the Milano and destroys it. And Crow's like, our ship. And Rocket's like, my baby. And then not only is that bad, but then the Triskelion explodes as well. And Luis figures out he needs to get involved. Meanwhile, the Inhumans with Beast show up. Um, Iron Man starts fighting them because he doesn't believe the Inhumans are on his side. Oh no, they're not because they're listed on the Captain Marvel side. And Karnak, knowing all weaknesses everywhere, it just starts destroying Iron Man's armor. Meanwhile, Black Panther shows up, puts him in a chokehold. Iron Man, that is. And then we get Carol versus Iron Man again. And then everyone gets a shared vision of Miles killing Steve Rogers. And then, because Ulysses has shown up, and he looks not amused. And Miss Marvel runs up to Miles and put her hand on his shoulder, like, "Hey, it's gonna be okay. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen." And Carol, being the worst here, says, "Kid, I'm sorry, but you're under arrest." And Miles is just very, very sad. Um, but he promises he's not gonna kill him, but unfortunately. And then we get ad here for Captain America Civil War, as that was the movie coming to iTunes apparently. And hence why we got a Civil War 2, because the movie went Civil War. And so that's our back issue as we celebrate Captain America month. We got one more comic to end February with. So let's get into this week's comics. The Magic 2, brought to us by writer Ashley Allen, who I love and is a great Twitter follow. Artist is German Parata, who's also pretty great on Twitter. Color artist Arthur Elsey. Letter VC's Ariana Mahler. I got the Mark Brooks cover, and so that's coming in the mail. Born a mutant, raised in limbo, Ilyana Rasputina balances on like worlds every day, armed with her sword, soul sword, her teleporting mutant stepping desk, and incredible mystic powers. She is what monsters fear: magic. Magic has uncovered a dark conspiracy. Demons are killing mutants all around the world. Though unsure of the murder's meaning, it seems to be related to five magical seals imprisoning a great evil called Limnia. With one seal broken, Magic and Cal Isaacs, the latest in the line of mages devoted to keeping the Liminal at bay, must find the other four before it's too late. But Liminal, that one feels a little right, isn't the only demon that Cal is worried about. As we see the cast is Ileana and then Cal. And this episode issue is called Descent. And it's been 3 days post Juno. And now they're in Tokyo, Japan, trying to figure out what their next steps are. And they're at a cat cafe. Which, if you're in Plant City, Florida, Catnip is a great cafe there. Little plug. And then Ileana's surrounded by cats, or kitties, if you will. Ileana narrates, Cal wants to throw himself into adulthood. I know he's not ready for this world, but he does not trust me, and I do not blame him. Dark child, my darker half, simmers beneath my skin, waiting for my walls to break like they did in Juno. I cannot give it a second opportunity to emerge. And then their waitress, Rui, shows up and uh, starts flirting with Ileana, inviting her to a rock concert that's happening later. But either Ileana's not interested or she's not picking up on the flirting because she's like, "Oh, I'm out in a couple hours." And Ileana's like, "Good for you." Or it's like, "Oof." And so she's like, "We're busy," which is an understatement. And then she recognizes one of the drawings of cows, which is the dark child. And then the waitress comments on the disappearances around the concert, which now Ileana is very interested, and they will go see the show. Oh, and then Campbell did this new design of Magic's that I wasn't sure was going to be her new costume or not. With like these pants are all sliced up, and I was like, well, maybe this is a new costume, but it's one of those pants for, and me, I'll admit, I don't know fashion, but I'm like, how does she put her legs through those pant sleeves? Because it looks like each one is wide enough to, literally put your foot through it. And then some people were nice enough to comment, like, well, they went to a rock concert, so I was about to call her a rock concert show. I'm like, that's not what those are called. And, so it's like, yeah, this is just their little rocker outfit. Like, oh, that makes sense. And now they're at the concert. Ileana does a reveal spell. Literally just called reveal. So it's like, oh, magic. Your magic is superb. Unfortunately, the lead singer of the Shroud, which I don't know, is that a reference to Ultimate Shadow Cat? Her alternate identity she picked up. But they see the recently died Ren from Juno is now the lead singer of the band, so they know that's not great. And then she starts strumming the guitar, causing mass chaos everywhere. Ileana's not sure what's causing her powers to amplify like that, and then figures out it's the guitar. Whatever is affecting my magic is also affecting my portals. I'm off balance. I can't manifest my stepping desk. Again, mutants are being targeted, but humans, but why? There's no doubt Ren's guitar is disrupting my powers. If I free her from the force controlling her, we can evacuate the building, or at least cut the strings of those other demons. Now to find the source of the possession and sever the thread of magic using my soul sword. But when I stare at her soul, something stares back. There's nothing of Ren. Nothing, just a small flame powering a vessel for something much larger. All these demons were once mutants. I feel sick. And the art here is just amazing. And the coloring too. Like Ren's putting all this blue coloring out there. And Ileana's in red. And she goes to like a strike with the sword surge, but then she's frozen in place. And then she slowly lets her dark child out, which doesn't really advance anything. And then Ren just shoots, like, blasts more guitar licks at her. And then slowly Cal's able to bring magic back to her senses, balancing her out a little, which is nice. But already Harris Q, the waitress, was upset about the whole thing and decides to run off. But I love how so much Cal is like understanding, like, oh yeah, she has a dark side, who doesn't? And like tries to calm her down, reassure her that, he's not scared by anything. Magic makes a promise that they will end this threat one way or the other. And Cal says that there's a frequency, so she just needs to divide it by velocity. And it starts creating a spell to take out Ren and defeats her. There's a huge explosion. And this is where we get the scene where Cal is like very comforting to Ileana, which is very sweet. And it's like, oh, Cal, I don't think there's romantic tension here. I think they're just literally partners looking out for each other. Meanwhile, a portal opens up underneath Ileana, and she falls to the this new surface where we meet the liminal. Wait, no, I bet it's liminal. Liminal. So liminal. Oh no, but you're pronouncing the N twice there. We'll have to figure it out. And it's pretty much like a guy all in white. I mean, he's like whatever this gown he's wearing is white, and then his skin tone is also that pale white. And he's on a throne that's also that shade of white, and then he just has like demons behind him. It's like a palace underground or whatever alternate dimension they are. And Magic still has her soul sword and she is ready for the fight. And then the mentions the X Manhunt event starting up soon. And that was Magic Volume 2, Issue 2. That's the. Oh, yeah, yeah. And then what else came out this week? Amazing Spider-Man 67, which is the Eight Deaths of Spider-Man. And the X-Men show up because it's a event involving Siderax Soldering. And so Juggernaut's involved, but awkwardly, Spider-Man was deemed to be the first hero to combat the Eight Deaths, and he has died, I guess, and has solved many other, like, millions of other deaths, and he's just like, he's checked out and doesn't want to do anything. But fortunately, we get all this great X-Men content. Magic puts up good fights against the forces. Cyclops is leading them and blasting some dudes. Juggernaut gets some good licks in. The issue opens up with Peter Parker having spent the night at Felicia Harding's apartment, and she leaves. And it's like, well, that was all the Black Cat content we were gonna get. And yeah, so it's a real bummer that Peter Parker's like, in his feelings. And it sounds like issue 66. I don't know, I guess because it's coming out every week, every other part is involved. And so I don't know, they're gonna be in issue 68 or 69, but um, but yeah, whenever they show up next, we'll see what it because it feels like the X-Men were still on the battleground. Um, oh yeah. Then X-Men 11 came out, which I thought was like the best issue of the run thus far. Uh, Cyclops' father, Corsair, shows up, and Ilyana immediately hears that he's there, and immediately wants to confront him as back in New Mutants Volume 4 from the Krakoan era. The New Mutants needed Starjammers to get them to a space base, and so I was like, "Oh, hey!" The first time Ileana and Corsair had a moment. Oh, before that, Scott has some fun with Ileana and Juggernaut creating a point system, and so Magic's sportsman, sportswomanship kicks in and immediately wants more points. And so Scott has a fun moment where he's just like, if you do this, you get 12 points. She's like, you fool, I would have done it for free, like 0 points. And it's like, oh, oh, we do get established that, which I feel like this has been established already, but they're flying in the Space Marauder. And so we get a Cape Pride reference. So that's pretty fun. And so Crusher is on the planet. He's being chased by the Kree and some scrolls and just like, bandits. And he tells them that they're looking for a Summers, but not him. Scott, in fact, as we find out, they shielded themselves with ruby quartz so that he can't blast them, or at least it has zero effect on them. And so, yeah, we're going to have to find out next issue why they want them, but I suspect that they're going to foolishly take Scott to space, and then he's going to run into his wife, Jean Grey, out there, and then maybe it's a much larger plot to get Jean involved in the X titles, but also, give us some Scott and Jean action that some people want. And I don't know, it just seems weird that Cyclops is going to space. It should involve Jean Grey at one point, right? Oh, oh, and then everyone, X-Men 11 has a letter of mine published, which I forgot because I've been sending letters to for Exceptional X-Men and Magic each issue. But I forgot I sent a letter to X-Men. I mean, it makes sense. That's Magic's, it was her series where I try to give a reference of what I was thinking was causing Magneto's powers. And so I imagine they printed it to be like, hey, here's some guesses, but it's actually the resurrection degeneration. And it's like, oh, that's right. But So I'm going to buy me a physical copy of this issue. I got the one that has Magic solely on the cover, so I'm excited about getting that. Plus it has a Kate Pride reference, so I'm like, oh yeah, I should be getting this. But a very fun surprise to see my letter, and I want to write another letter to this title, because now I got some encouragement. And this issue was just a lot of fun. And Cyclops and Corsair were fun together with some heatedness, or maybe not heatedness, but there's just some, father-son tension. And I love Magic having a reference because apparently, 5 years later, she hasn't had an interaction with Corsair, and why would she have? But now I'm saying this, like there was that New Mutants Volume 150 issue where Ilyana accidentally teleports to deep space and runs into Xavier and Lilandra, and I can't remember if Corsair's in that or not, but she at least has some space history. What else came out? Oh yeah, so let's just go down the list now. So Cable Love and Chrome 2 came out, which is just a solid Cable story, but if you're not Cable inclined, I don't know if it does much for you, but I really like this new female character, Avery, and he tells her to rest, and she like backhands him. And he's like, I'll rest when I'm dead, which unfortunately she is dying from the TO virus. But so is everyone in this future, so it's like, all right. Deadpool and Wolverine 2, which I'm only reading for the Joshua Cassara artwork. But it's just a solid Deadpool Wolverine story. Like Strife's there, which I guess is interesting. We have Strife and Cable back. Magic 2 we reviewed, see a couple minutes ago. One War Under Doom 1, which I don't know, it's because it was like the sixth comic I read, and so maybe I was disconnected, but I'm not feeling the event. If Storm wasn't there, I don't know if I would have even liked it that much. But Doom apparently is like, ruling the world under Doom, and he has a robot Doombot dressed as Zemo. And so he looks like a hero destroying Zemo on television, and then Iron Man's like, it's a lie, but it's also like I don't know, decades ago they made a Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom triumphant one shot, a Marvel graphic novel, like the death of Marvel, the boy one, the New Mutants reveal, God Loves Man Kills, Excalibur, War World 3, if you're still oh no, War War Weird. Um, that format. And one of them was that Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange story, and I think it's called Triumph and Torment. In that story, spoilers for a 30-year-old comic, but it just pretty much Doom rules and then finally gets bored and then just gives it up. And I'm just like, yeah, clearly this is how this is gonna end. Like at one point, Doom's just done. It's also just, and I know I'm a big nerd about harping on this, but it's just like a Doom event where we're doing this so that when the Avengers Doomsday movie comes out, there's Doom content, but then it's the wrong Doom. I don't know. It's just like, hey, what's the point of this? Um, but to end on a high note, Psylocke 4 came out, which just felt like a real video game mission, of a comic, where like her tech gal tells her where the villain of the arc is, so she goes to them. She has to jump over the fence, has to fight the robot security guards, get through that, get into the mansion, fight the cybernetically enhanced animals, fights all of them, and then finally like comes up against the mastermind, who I don't know, has a real Batman villain vibe to him. Like that classic villain of like only a threat as he throws threats at the hero. But as soon as the hero's in front of the villain, like one punch knockout. So it's like we'll see how Psylocke ties this all up. But yeah, those were the issues. So I really loved Magic 2, X-Men 11, Psylocke 4, and The Amazing Spider-Man 67 was pretty solid. So those would be the top four. I guess I would put Cable, Love, and Chrome 2 for proper five. And then next week, or this week, we have a whole slew of comics. So we have Doom Academy 1, which I'm hoping has a Strange Academy feel vibe to it. Exceptional X-Men 6, which would be our leading comic. Laura Kinney Wolverine 3, which is part 2 of the Daredevil crossover. Uh, well, not crossover, it'd just be a two-parter of the her series. Mystique 5, which I can't remember if that's the final issue or not, but Mystique and Fury Jr. teaming up to find Destiny. NYX 8, which I don't know if that's going to pick up on the Mojo plot or not. Storm 5, where we're going to find the Infinity Empowered Storm and probably Doom Fallout. Amazing Spider-Man 68, which sounds like it does not pick up from 67. So we have to make with that what we can. Ultimate Wolverine 2, which Kitty Pryde's supposed to show up in issue 3, but I have a suspicion that she's going to show up at the last page reveal for this. And um, so I got this pre-ordered. So we'll see what that looks like. Plus, it's going to have Ultimate Magic, so that should, should be buying it anyways. Uncanny X-Men 10, where we pick up with Kaliko and the Outliers in the mall fighting the Sentinel Wolves or the Wolf Sentinels. I don't know. They're Sentinel-shaped wolves. Maybe is the best way to. We find out if Death Dream's dead, which with a name like Death Dream, I suspect not. Weapon X-Men 1, which is a very boy-heavy team, but Joe Casey's writing it, and I love Joe Casey. Probably my favorite Cable writer with Ludgren as the artist, and I should buy me that trade because I do love that arc. In my mind, it's like a 20 issue arc, but I'm pretty sure it's closer to 8 issues. But it's my favorite Cable run. Um, Oh, X Factor 7, which has Archangel under Doom's influence. So we'll see how Archangel's back and which I do appreciate a crossover that barely touches any of the titles I am enjoying. And then X-Force 8, where we continue the Betsy Rachel romance and Forge distracts us with actually Colossus shows up in this issue. And so we'll see. We now know Tank isn't Colossus, though I suspect Tank was never Colossus. So we'll have to see what that's about. But yeah, those are our issues. If I had to rank them, I'll go Exceptional X-Men 6, Ultimate Wolverine 2, Uncanny X-Men 10, X-Force 8. No, Mystique 5. Like I've been liking it. So, but and then Storm 5. And Laura Kinney Wolverine 3, and then just the rest of them. NYX 7 was pretty great, but I don't know. Like I feel like that title can literally do anything at any time, which is a fun, vibe to have. But yeah, we'll just have to see. So Exceptional X-Men 6 next promises have some sinister intentions. But thank you everyone for listening to episode 167 of Shadow and Playing with Magic. I'm gonna post four of those Civil War II on the podcast as show shows at SNFWM. And you can follow me on socials at Jacko SIII. And thank you, dear listener, for listening. Feel free to find X-Men 11 and it's my second comics letter published. I have a issue of Deadpool 65, I want to say, from volume 3. It's somewhere in the 60s. It's in my box of comics that don't fall under any other collection because I was like, I should sell these, but not these ones. Like I want this like half box of comics. Like it's a bunch of crossovers and such. Um and Blaze of Glory and its sequel Apache Skies. Trying to think what else are on there, but yeah, some amalgamation. Oh no, amalgam comics, but not Dark Claw because I sold that one foolishly. Pretty sure I sold it at the same time I sold New Mutants '98 with the first appearance of Deadpool, which still irks me, but got us through a tough time, so financial time, so that was good. But still, it's like, oh, could have kept that, and that thing would have been worth a bunch right now. But yeah. So please come back next week. I'm bad at goodbyes, and the video is here. If you're listening through YouTube, thanks for supporting that format, and I will talk at you next time. All right, everyone, bye.